Good evening. This is video number 29 of 30 videos in 30 days. Today is day 30. I didn't make it. I missed it by one. I mean, I could have shot out 2 videos today just to say I did it, but this one's gonna be shoddy as it is, and I don't want to make 2 cheap videos in one day. I would just like to say, given everything that's going on these days, remember how Trump said we're going to be winning so much that people are not going to be able to stand it. I don't think when he said that they realized he meant that winning was going to be the police in many places being defunded, a bunch of cops being charged for all kinds of different police brutality type charges, Black Lives Matter being painted in front of the White House on the street, defund the cops being painted on the streets in front of the White House. Winning also meant that the country with, if not the best, some of the best medicines, some of the best science and technology and industry in the world was going to end up with the most coronavirus cases in the world, some of the least testing in the world, lack of the PPE we need, masks, ventilators, swabs, tests, everything, basically. That, the stock market's going to crash because of it. Sure, it's coming back up, and I wish it will. I haven't seen a single person who considers himself anything of an expert that says this is going to last for very long. Plus, we're just printing money out of thin air. Everybody says that's anywhere from going to be kind of bad to just destroy the economy. I'm not wishing this stuff on us or Trump, but that's where he's taken us. That is winning to him. Winning means lying about the coronavirus, hoping that he doesn't panic the stock market, and because he's lied so much throughout his presidency, what happens when he goes out there and makes this declaration that everything's all right, we've got it under control? The stock market panics. Of course they do. They know he just lies all the time. Anybody who thought he would be good for the economy, if we ever had any kind of a problem that took anything like a mature, responsible, adult-like approach, and thought that Donald Trump would be able to handle that, okay, this is what winning looks like for Donald Trump. The response to the coronavirus, worse than just about every other country in the world, probably is the worst, last on the list. The country that has probably, well, if you take into account all the variables, the economy, the science, the medicine, the technology, the industry, we are number one. And the coronavirus came, and what happened? We are last on the list. That's winning to them. I've had this discussion with Trump supporters. They will say anything to defend him. It doesn't matter how bad things. When Trump said, I can shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and you will still support me, he was not lying. These people will still support him. It's just incredible. It's just incredible. We are losing in a way we have never in this country lost before, going back, well, let's say the Civil War. That was losing. That was a deep, dark period in this country's history, but I'd like to say we won that. I'm from the north, and we started to make things right. Yeah, we still have a ways to go, but we started to make things right. Certainly, having someone like Trump in office isn't helping, but when he said we're going to win so much, he did not mean what's happening. And his supporters obviously could not figure out that this guy who failed at the stakes, the vodka, the airline, a casino, for God's sakes. How do you bankrupt a casino? That's like being a crack dealer and not being able to sell crack to the people who are begging you there at the street corner for crack. What else? I know there's a lot more. Oh, yeah, lost what, $1 billion over a 10-year span when everybody else in the country was making money? That's winning. That's winning. That's what winning means to these people. And they still think they're winning with all this stuff going down. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me how. In their wrecked worldview, somehow this is winning to them. But the fact is, as unfortunate as all this crap is that's going down right now, I believe, I don't want to say there's going to be good that comes out of it. That just sounds so cliche and lame. Not that this doesn't also, but think of the phoenix rising. These are the ashes. We'll rise from this. Stronger, better. And look at the headlines. I was going to read a bunch of headlines. I had some written down, but I think the main thing to focus on here is well, two things. With all the shenanigans that the retarded cops are pulling, they're getting the rug pulled out from under them. I mean, there's a bunch of them are being charged. You know, so much of this stuff is on video. How stupid do you have to be? If you're going to commit a crime, make sure no one's videoing it. That's like the first rule. You know, you don't have to be a cop to figure that out. Well, obviously, you have to not be a cop to figure that out, because they ain't got to figure it out. Like I said, I had a bunch of headlines I wanted to read. These videos were not supposed to turn into me commenting on current events, but current events have just, there's nobody my age who have lived through these times who's just not astounded. I mean, we've seen some things. I was a kid at the time, but there were riots, there were protests, civil rights, and Vietnam War protests all over the country, but that turned into riots in a number of places. I mean, there was Watts, I think LA, I know Huff in Cleveland. That was a mess. Kent State, right down the street. I was 12 years old. They shot 4 college kids. Didn't just shoot them, killed them. So, you know, I've been through some stuff. But this is wild. This is wild. I've never been through something where I was old enough to appreciate how off the chain it was, and what the capability of this movement has in terms of being able to change things. Remember, it was just directly before this, before George Floyd got killed, that the Bugaloo Boys, you know, the alt-right and the Trump supporters and the open carry were all out there burning effigies, protesting, getting like this far away from the cops' faces and yelling at them. We've got the photos, we got the video, banging on windows, banging on doors at City Hall, demanding their constitutional rights. You can't keep us inside. They thought they were going to have their day. And then when George Floyd got killed and people started protesting, at least some of them tried to take advantage of that. That didn't work. That turned exactly 180 degrees opposite of what they wanted, because as bad as some of the rioting and the looting was, the cops, Trump's response, the possibility of the military being called in, this all looks very bad for a very long time for the authority. This all has to be taken into account. There will be some major changes coming down the pike. I especially like what Obama said: we have to make people in power uncomfortable. 57 cops resigned in New York after those 2 officers were suspended, and I believe they're charged now. Minnesota bans chokeholds. Dallas police adopts duty to intervene policy to prevent abuse. Our allies are shaking their heads with pity and disgust. Our enemies are laughing at us. We, for a moment, had the moral high ground when Hong Kong was protesting and we were telling China, look, what you're doing is wrong. The whole world's watching. What you're doing is wrong. We start to protest police brutality because a cop kills an unarmed black guy. And then the cops respond with police brutality, and the rest of the world is like, oh, Jesus. Really? Really, America? Really? But again, that's what Trump thinks winning is. The saber rattling, the thumping of the chest, all that shit. It's just very loud losing. And that's what we're going to see more and more of. Trump losing loudly and calling it winning. Trump supporters losing badly and claiming they're winning. I needed to get a video in. I thought I would at least comment some on what's going on out there, and I just wanted to say I've come to the conclusion that, well, when you look at Trump Steaks, vodka, losing $1 billion in 10 years when everybody else in the country was making money, bankrupting a casino, for God's sakes, getting impeached, letting the coronavirus come into, when you consider all the variables, what is the greatest country in the world in terms of tackling something like that and coming in last place. All those things. George Floyd getting killed, and being president of the United States and not having the presence or the presence of mind to be able to go out and address the people before things get downright crazy. This is going to hurt them even more. They can call this winning, but they call everything winning. Winning for them is merely losing loudly. So remember that. Whenever they say they're winning, what that means is, if it isn't happening right now, currently, it's just down the road. What they're doing is losing loudly. So yeah, they're winning, and this is what it looks like. All right. I want to thank you for watching, and if you didn't watch, well, what's wrong with you, man?